folks, I'm Kevin. Welcome back to the shop. I know you're saying, hey, where have you been? Did you forget all about the 541? Did you blow it up? Have you just given up? Or what's going on? Well, man, life is what happens when you're making plans. I've been busy, you've been busy, we've all been busy. I've been distracted with work and work in the shop and some good stuff and some fun stuff. But I do need to get back in it and get this thing going again. Now, I've made progress since the last time that I made a video, and I had to kind of go back and look at it and see what stage it was at in the last video, so to know where I left off so we could pick up and go from there. So if I recall correctly, we were trying to figure out how to get this into that. So let's take a look. Where we left off last time was putting all the spinny bits down into the motor, turning it around, and whack! The rods and the oil pickup tube wanted to occupy the same space. So this had to go, and we had to come up with another answer. That answer happened to be a BAM Maladon external oiling system. This kit comes complete with all of the parts you see I've already done something with, and a hose. So let's take a look at the oil system, and we'll go from there. Starting with the bottom up, you need an oil pan. I went ahead and picked up a new pan because this one's about an inch deeper, and it's got a 6-quart capacity on it, and it still has the little notch here for the idler arm that you need on the Imperials and even some A bodies. This is also available from 440 Source or Hughes, which is where this one came from. What you had to do was take the fitting that comes with their external oiling system, find a hole maker that's about the same size as that little guy, and poke a hole right on up through the side of the pan, right there. And you install the pickup down inside it with the O-ring on the inside on these. I understand their later kits are going to have the seal on the outside. But this is what we needed to do to get oil out of the pan and up into the pump. Okay, when I picked up the pan, I decided to go ahead and pick up a windage tray while I was at it. And well, the windage tray interfered with the clearance there for the idler arm, so I had to do something about it. And now the windage tray fits right in here, and it has plenty of room to clear this notch in the pan. And luckily, this is not directly over the connecting rods. It's actually over one of the mains, the main cap. So there's not going to be a whole lot of oil slinging up through this little hole, but wouldn't really matter anyway because it's just going to hit the pan. So it was a quick little clearance thing. You're probably not going to have to do this on other pans, but this windage tray needed to be really deep to clear that big crankshaft. So let's take a look at the oil pump and the mods that I had to make. And here's the motor side of things. We put on the regular Building high volume oil pump, and we took the top of the housing off where you screw on your oil filter, and replaced it with a Maladon piece. It is obviously taller right here, and it comes with the fasteners to actually mount the taller cap onto the pump body. I angled this around where I believe it's going to need to be, and just went ahead and spun a filter on just to keep everything clean. So let's drop a pan on here and see how it works. And I've dropped the pan on. Let's slide on the hose. Okay, there's the hose installed, and we need to now see if it's going to clear the old motor mounts. One motor mount, you'll have to pardon the use of the dirty old mount. I haven't got the new ones all gussied up yet, but it looks like it's going to clear just fine. We're good with that, but we've got to take a look and see if it's going to clear the headers. And for the exhaust, well, we got to get ahead on this thing. So let's take a look at that real quick. Okay, so we're back at the bench to discuss cylinder heads. These are actually my old Edelbrock Performer RPMs. I bought these, I think in 2003 or 2004. They spent a good long time, at least 10 years, on my turbo motor, and that's why they're the large chamber heads. And now they're just a slight bit larger because they have been CNC ported. So they did the chamber work, they did the ports, they did the other ports, and of course lapped in the valves, all that kind of good stuff. I've got some mild double springs on here. Just because the beehives were getting kind of close on clearance, so I went ahead and went with the light double. I was looking for longevity, and this gives me a little bit of cheap insurance that if one of them happens to break, well, I've got the inner spring to kind of help out. So this is going to be what's running it. Let's drop it on the block so we can check the header clearance. And here we are with the TTI headers installed. They are 1 7/8, but it's all I could get for the C-bodies, which is what the Imperial is based off of. They are ceramic coated, so that'll help with the heat. And if I simply pull a loop back over here to the motor mount bolt, you can see that I've got all the clearance in the world for the oil line in there. The dipstick tube can still come down behind it and go in here where my paper towel stopper is. If necessary, I can go with an aftermarket, especially with the deeper pans. So this looks like a go. Okay, I didn't want to bore you with tightening down 800 oil pan bolts, so I've got the windage tray and the pan on there. That's all buttoned up. It's time to go upstairs and drop some heads on this thing. I do need to check the piston to valve clearance. We should have plenty. It says it's good for a 700 lift cam. I've got just under 600 lift, but we'll check that out. Now I'm going to use a 39 thousandths SCE MLS gasket. This is a 4.5 inch bore because the chambers on these were massaged a little bit when he did the port work, and the proper size bore gasket was kind of overhanging the side of the cylinder a little bit, or overhanging the combustion chamber, and I didn't really like that. That would lead to bad things. So these are going to be recessed a little bit between the block and head, but it's going to seal just fine. And we also put a call in to our friend Mr. ARP for some cylinder head bolts. I'm not going to lube those on this test fit. I'm just going to go ahead and snug them down, and we'll run around, check for clearance. And to do that, I picked up some Play-Doh. It's good for ages 2 and up, so yeah, I should be okay. Yeah, maybe. But I did opt for the purple because that makes it more official. So let's throw some in. $35. And now we're on the top side, and for lifters, put in a call to Howard's, and got these from them. These are actually the Gatorman lifters. These are the good ones to go with for the big block Chrysler. These are nice quality pieces. I've already opened them up, checked them all out. These little guys are really nice. So we're going to drop a pair in here. I've got a little bit of oil down here in the bushing boards. We're going to drop this in and just set up some temporary push rods and see what we've got. And another call to Comp Cams got me a set of rocker arms. So let's pop these open, take a look. Okay, I did some checking out with a link checking push rod. Gatorman says that these push rods are going to need to be 8 3/8 of an inch long, and that's exactly what it measures up to be. So I picked some up, stuffed them in here. We've run it around a couple times to check the valve clearance, so let's pop it all back off and see what it looks like. Well, look at that. It barely touched the clay. Kind of flattened it out a touch. That's it. There's no way this is getting anywhere near the valve relays. We're good. Okay, so I had a buddy over here, and we were checking out the 541, making sure that the oil system was in good shape. And we wanted to make sure that the pressure was going to be up and there weren't any external leaks, anything like that. So we stuck a priming rod down in there with a drill and promptly got a reminder to always leave the camera rolling. I rolled the oil pressure up. It was solid. It was steady. Real good. Ran right up 75 psi. Thought it was great. We just weren't seeing any oil on the top half of the motor. So I got my buddy to throw a wrench on the crank and start to roll that thing over while I was running some oil pressure on it and make sure it was going to be good. And that's when we got the reminder that, unlike the factory rocker arms, the roller rocker arms have a little hole in the top that allows the oil to kind of spray out and kind of catch down on the roller. Yeah, that didn't go so well. The oil starts here and goes there and there. Whoop! Whoop! Vacuum cleaner. Oh, look, more oil. And there and there and oh, look, the lathe got in the way. Now, the delay in building this thing wasn't all bad. There's some good things that came out of it, like right down here. Originally, we had this set up that the way Maladin wanted it, and I was getting a constant little drip on the ground. I would let it sit and come home for a day, and there would be a little drip on the ground, a little spot that was coming from this drain plug. I took it apart and flipped the O-ring around, tried it on the outside, tried it on the inside, trying it every which way, even called Maladin, got some input from them. And what it came down to was the bulkhead fitting was just leaking. The fix I found was to go to Summit and pick up these crush washers, and I just put one back here behind this nut. I put the O-ring back on the inside like it said, put the crush washer behind the nut, and this one hasn't dripped since then. It's been a good answer. I think it works. Okay, so now at this point, the long block is all buttoned up. I did pop the valve covers on off camera. If you can go through YouTube and find this video, there's probably a good chance you could put on a pair of old school valve covers. I've also dropped the valley pan in place, so it's just going to keep the motor all buttoned up, keep dust and dirt and trash out of it. So that pretty much leaves the induction and ignition system, and slap a water pump on the front, and then this little guy's going to be good to go to the dyno and check it out. But speaking of induction, a lot of guys would be tempted to run Old Faithful here and get one of those little guys on here, but try to find one big enough to feed this thing. Or you may want to take a little different approach and do what I want to do. So, we'll see you next time.